Namaskar. Welcome you all in this educational video of NIOS. This is subject home science. This is sign of home science. Code number for this subject is 321. This video is for senior secondary level. We are doing lesson number 2 and name of the lesson is available on screen. It is ethics. This is the sign of ethics. Ethics in daily life. This is sign of daily life. Now let us understand the need for ethics. We will discuss this in points. Let us continue. Any work situation has 3 components. The first component is the work. It can be any work in general. When we are working on a computer, we are teaching, we are cooking, we are doing any service work, we are providing services, we are doing video, any kind of work comes under this category. This is the first component, the actual task which is to be done. The second point which comes under this work situation is the worker. It is the person who is doing the work, the service provider, the person who is fixing the problem. Because we all are doing some work at some point of time. So the second component is the worker, and the third component is the workplace. It is the place for doing the task and all the tools and equipments which are required, and there is also a space to store all these tools and things or resources. So the workplace is the third important component. So all these 3 components are generally everywhere, in school, in college, at workplace. So these 3 are the components of any work situation. We have to remember all these because we are going to discuss them and understand them. We have already understood about the ethics and the 3 components of ethics. Now we are talking about the common ethical problems at workplace where workers are. So the first problem is sometime when people are irregular and they lack punctuality, they are not on time, then this is the common ethical problem we see in our surrounding. The second most common ethical problem is sometimes workers are rude and impolite. They don't talk in a proper way, in an appropriate or sweet way. And the third common ethical problem which is generally seen is people or workers, they have inadequate knowledge and skills. The fourth common ethical problem is workers waste resources. All the resources which we need to use or utilize, sometimes they get wasted. The fifth common ethical problem is there is a disregard of rules and regulation. The sixth common ethical problem is we disrespect the task which is at hand. And the seventh point is people or some workers are disloyal. Now we will discuss all these 7 points in detail. The first point we just seen explains the topic as irregular and lack punctuality. The first point under this topic explains that whenever we have disorganized homes, then the work gets irregular, or we say that it is not done on time. We may miss something For example, the children who are to reach school on time, they may miss their bus, and later on, if one thing is missed, then the second thing and the third thing, it also keeps on missing. So we need to prepare beforehand to be on time. We should prepare our work so that our next day's work gets done on time. For morning, we should prepare our basic requirements at night. So that way we can be on time regularly. The second point under this category explains about the public inconveniences in office, thus lowering the image of the organization in bank, electricity, etc. So there are many workplaces which are public workplaces, and we know that at those places we have some facilities given, and if our work there is not done on time, then also the next and the further work gets delayed, because all that work is connected. Because in office or in workplace, we don't work in we never work alone, we work in a team. And the third example is we should also be disciplined. To be regular and to be punctual, we should follow the discipline. We should not spoil the discipline of the workplace. Because if one person is being late every day, then it may happen that other persons also starts following the person who is latecomer. So this way it spoils the discipline of the workplace. And the fourth point explains that all such habits sometimes adversely affect the career prospects of the person. So these are all the important points we should keep in mind. The second point, which is the topic here, it explains the rude and impolite behavior. At home, you all must have experienced that sometime the peace is destroyed at home because of some rude or impolite behavior. So we should be careful in office and also at home. We should not just speak anything. We should be careful about the words we are speaking. We should not bully anyone. The second point explains that being impolite and being rude causes embarrassment to the organization. The third point tells that if the person is rude and person is not polite, then it may lead to the unpopularity. And it may happen that people working with you, they may start being away from you. And the fourth point explains that being rude and showing impolite behavior, it adversely affects the career prospects of the person. So all these points, which are very important, we should keep them in mind. The third point explains that having inadequate knowledge and skill is also not good. It may lead to heavy loss to machine and tools, because sometimes there are some software or some hardware machines which are new, or by mistake we may do something which is loss to the environment or loss to our team. For all the tools which are new, which are heavy machinery, we should be careful while handling them, while using them. Any wrong button, if pressed, that can lead to the danger. And also, sometimes it can lead to the serious mishappening, because we being human, we can stop ourselves, but machine, if given a command, then machine will not be stopped. So it can lead to serious mishaps. The fourth point explains that if the person is having inadequate knowledge and is not skilled, then it can happen that there are no promotions and rewards in person's life. Because if the person is doing well, is trying or upgrading the self, that can give the growth to the person. So all these points are very important to be kept in mind. Fourth point explains, the topic is waste resources. The first point which comes under it is waste resources are due to the improper storages. Due to improper storage, the resources are wasted. The second point explains that raw ingredients get spoiled and have to be thrown. So this is also one of the important point which comes under waste resources. The third point explains that some people take large servings on their plates and they leave all that food uneaten when they are not able to eat it. So all that food get wasted. The fourth point explains that making unplanned and frequent trips to the market without preparing a shopping list leads to the wastage of your time and energy, and also fuel if you have to go there by the vehicle. So the important thing is we should make plan what we have to get, how we have to get, and from where we will get that thing. So we should keep this in mind. The fifth point explains that if we disregard rules and regulations, then that is also an issue. The first point which comes under this topic is chaos and confusion. If the things are not clear and there is confusion in our mind, then there is a possibility that we do not follow the rules and regulation in a proper way. And it may seem to the other person that we are disregarding and not following the rules. The second point explains that it disturbs the harmony at home and at workplace. So any work we are doing, whether at home or at our workplace, we should follow the rules. The third point explains that employing children in hazardous industry is also not beneficial for the children and for the society as well. And also in our society, there are rules that children should not work in any society. The fourth point, which comes under disregard rules and regulation, is it explains that there are adverse effects on career advancement. Sixth point explains there is disrespect for the task at hand. This is also the negative behavior, you can say, not accepted by the general people if we are working in a team. In our society, it is very common practice to consider some job respectable and some other jobs which are less respectable. So we should respect all the work which is in our hand. And for all those workers who are working with us and who are doing a kind of, other kind of jobs which are services to the senior team member, those jobs should also be considered as respectable jobs. Like a wife's contribution, which is she is housewife at home, her contribution to the successful running of a home is not generally given due respect by her family and the society in general. So all the society people should keep in mind and should respect the women's their work and also do that work in a respectable manner. So we should also respect our family members and mothers, wives at home. The third point explains a man selling drinking water on the roadside should feel proud of doing so. And similarly, the passerby must not feel that supplying drinking water is a low profile job. So we should give equal respect to all of them. Seventh point explains about the disloyal. Point 1 explains that in family sometimes there are secrets, and if we malign our family members in public, then it is considered as a sign of disloyalty to the family. We should not open the family secrets to anyone who is outsider. Being a family member, it is our responsibility to be the honest family member. So we should not mock any other family member just for the sake of doing it. Third point explains that in offices, for instance, a chemical engineer may quietly sell a secret formula to a new product to a rival company for some quick extra money. So, being disloyal this way is not correct. Making extra money by doing something wrong is also not correct. Fourth point tells that a corrupt union leader may call for a strike of mill workers. Fifth point explains that cheating one's employer and working for someone is also not correct. So we should all be careful and we should all be ethical. We should build our understanding. First is, as a worker, we should follow all these points. As a worker, we should imbibe the good ethics. That is important as a next step. And if we have already imbibed the positive work habits, then it would automatically leads to the effective management of work. And whatever work we are doing, it will get automatically be done in a proper way. And these are the code of ethics. By following all these, we can be successful in our life. The first is we have to be regular and punctual at work and at home. The second point is do the task assigned to you. The third point is we should be polite, patient, courteous, and respectful to all. So, by following all these rules, we can learn good ethics. The fourth point explains that to acquire the knowledge and skills which are necessary to do the work assigned to you, these are all some important code of ethics. The fifth point which comes under this topic is we have to be prepared to learn more and update yourself. We should not keep ourselves limited that it is not our work area and we will not be able to do and we are not interested. Rather, we should be open to learn and open to update ourselves. The next point tells that we should find more and more efficient ways of getting your work done. You should take the challenge and improve yourself. The seventh point explains that you have to manage and apply your resources in an efficient manner. Do not waste any resources, whether it is at home or whether it is at school. Also, we should follow all the rules, policies, and procedures of your work strictly and uniformly. Because that way, if we are following the rules, the other members will also follow the rules. Ninth point tells that do not indulge in favoritism and do not discriminate while doing your duty. That is everyone's equally. Treat everyone equally. The 10th point explains that we should have respect for all kind of work. Any work, whether it is lower or whether it is high profile, it is equal. We should respect every kind of work. We should not show any favoritism towards any work. 12th point explains that you have to be loyal to your work and to the organization to which you belong. Point 13 explains that we should expose corruption wherever we encounter them. And these are some points for raising ethical standards. The first is public disclosure and publicity. The next is preparation of a code of ethics. The third is teaching of ethics and values in schools and colleges. So these are three important points we will discuss. The first point we just seen explains the public disclosure and publicity. Unethical and corrupt workers should be held responsible for their actions. Such irresponsible people should be exposed or criticized and are suitably punished. This point is in continuation of the previous slide. For example, withdrawal of certain privileges and bringing their wrongdoings to the notice of the family members. We should withdraw some of the privileges given to them so that they understand that they should change our behavior, they should modify and act in a right way. What should be done, what should not be done, what would lead to the punishment, what would lead to the withdrawal. These are important ways that this way we can teach our children the right action method, how they should behave and how they should improve. So this way they can work towards their improvement. This is the second point, which is preparation of a code of ethics. It explains that a clear statement of the ethics in any situation and their implementation is vital. It can be written and displayed in office for the employees to apply and integrate them into their work. So any work we are doing, we should be regular, we should be punctual, we should complete our work on time. That is very important. That is considered as good code of ethics. And also at home, it can be reminded to children and teenagers by the elders and also by the media, TV, news, they watch regularly. Like working on mobile for long time, it can lead to pain in the neck. So such rules should be reminded quite often to the children. This is the third point. It explains the teaching of ethics and values in schools and colleges. As we know that ethics are learnt by the person on his own at an early stage of life, but through experience and informal guidance from others, they are generally developed. And however, teaching of moral values and ethics at school and at college in learning environment will help the learners to develop ethical habits and grow as disciplined citizens and build the nation. So that way, if everyone is following good code of ethics, then everyone would be disciplined, every citizen will lead to a developed country. So this is very important for a good nation building. So far we have understood the lesson. So we have to understand general ethics and the work ethics. You can see on screen, there are some general ethics shown on the slide. For example, sincerity, self-respect, we should be respectful to self and the other. The third point explains the respect for the environment. And the fourth point explains the truthfulness as a general ethic. On the right side, you can see the work ethics. These are also four. The first point under this work ethics explains the regularity. The second point under work ethics explains the punctuality for about doing the work on time. Third point is loyalty, being honest for the work. Fourth point is confidentiality, to keep the secret to the self only. So these are all the general ethics and some are work ethics. So we should be aware that these are two separate ethics. So far we have understood the lesson. Hope you will understand the ethics and the detailed explanation which is shown in the video. There are some work ethics, there are some general ethics. Thank you.